This broadcast is a Stephen K. Media production.
The success of the small business person is the cornerstone of the American economy. Welcome to the Small Business Today Show with your hosts, Cruz and Hughes. The Small Business Today Show is for and about small business advancement and development. What we do for you. We'll be taking your calls as we provide you small business intelligence and mentorship needed to grow your business creatively. Keep listening. The Small Business Today Show with Cruz and Hughes starts now.
Hello and welcome back to today's episode of Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes. If you're listening to us, you know that it's 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, and this show is live every day, Monday through Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. And this is the place where we discuss the topics that inspires entrepreneurs from thought to action. If you want to join the conversation today, we invite you to give us a phone call at 347-857-3958. Again, that number here to the studio is 347-857-3958. Irv?
Yes, sir.
It's Friday.
It's Friday.
How was your Friday before we get into
all
other matters?
Oh, my God. Folks, this Friday has been a zoo-like Friday.
In a good way, though.
In a good way.
Tell us why so.
Man, we're doing all kinds of business, helping people get in business today, man.
So you did a seminar today.
I did a seminar today.
You had, I think, as of when did we have Miss Tondalyn Atkinson?
Oh, let me see.
Was it Wednesday?
Was it Wednesday or Tuesday? I think it was Tuesday.
Was it Tuesday?
I think it was Tuesday.
So on Tuesday, you had, I want to say around 12 or 13 people registered.
That's right.
And how many people showed up today?
Well, we stopped counting at about 100. Maybe 110. I was up in front, so I really don't know.
You just know that there were heads as far as you could see.
I just know the staff at the Kingdom Builder Center, and thank God for those good folks. Let me tell you what, I want to just put some kudos out to those guys, man. You talk about remodulating shields and adjusting.
Oh, man. Because I'm sure the room that you guys were scheduled to do this in,
yeah,
you weren't able to accommodate that number of people.
Not at all. And in fact, kudos out to those guys. John, I called them last night. After our show, and I went online to see what the registration was, and I said, well, the room we're in is already at capacity based on the pre-registrations.
Okay. Now,
there are people who, for whatever reason, John, will not RSVP for anything.
Oh, man, they like to show up.
They just show up.
But, those people are afraid of commitment.
Yeah, well...
They don't want to say they're coming and not. They don't want to lie to you.
Yeah, that's right.
So they just spontaneously increase the size of their audience.
That's exactly right. So anyway, long story short, they wound up having to adjust dramatically.
For those of you who have not been listening this week, we've talked about a couple days this week that Irv did how to become a government supply contractor.
That's right.
He did a 2-hour presentation today. I've been getting nothing but kudos for the people that I know who've attended. I mean, they absolutely loved your teaching style, how you made light of otherwise boring material.
Right.
And what they love most is that you showed them not only the way to prosperity through doing business with the government,
sure,
but how to also raise the money that they need in the event that they go out and they're able to secure a contract.
That's right.
Which is the most important thing.
That is absolutely right, John. And, one of the things that was really humbling to me is to see, what you may not know is not all these folks were startups.
Okay.
Some of these people.
Yeah. Well, I had a couple that called me the other day that told me that they were already registered, certified, and everything. And they've been in business for a few years, but they needed some additional help on, hey, what am I doing wrong?
Exactly right. Yeah. And let me tell you what, it was about 25% of those people were already established businesses.
Better. Oh, man.
And they were like, man, where have you been? Because, we did everything we knew to do. And it's funny because we talked about that very thing on this show with our guest today about doing all that you know to do, and then what?
That's right.
That's right. And sure enough, these guys were really excited to be there. I was excited certainly to meet them. And let me just tell you what, John, I think our community and our economy is in a place where you cannot, and one of the things I talked about today was you cannot disable a country's population. You can't economically disable 25% of that population and expect an efficient recovery of your economy.
Surely.
You just can't.
I would agree.
You can't disenfranchise that many people whether that's jobs, whether that's businesses, whether that's whatever that is, if you stall out the economic engine,
Right.
because people get apathetic, some people are just angry
All the time.
and so part of what this is about is to quiet a lot of that.
Well, I'm glad to hear that the day was a huge success. I knew that it would be.
Yeah.
We even had people who called today that wanted to go to the class because they thought that it started at noon.
Oh.
So I probably got 8 or 9 calls today.
Sure.
But the class actually started at 10 a.m. But now the question is when are you doing the next one?
Well, the next one is going to be coming up on week 4. I think that's the 25th. Because we skipped
February?
of January.
Oh, week 4 of this month.
Yeah, week 4 of this month.
Okay.
We try to do 2 of these a month.
Okay.
Yeah, and so from the seminar this morning, we'll start classes in the morning. So there are some people who are enrolling tonight and in the morning for the class.
Wow.
And then we'll have folks that'll start actually on the 25th. With the seminar.
Man, that's pretty good. Now, with that being said, since we started the show with good news, I just really am not in the mood to hear a gripe out of you or Stephen K. today.
Well, the truth is, John, I don't have a gripe.
How can you? You had a fantastic day.
I don't have a gripe. And you know what is so funny, and maybe we ought to talk about this, is that if you have a positive day, can you have a soapbox?
No.
I don't know how you do it.
You're a hypocrite. You can't do that.
You can't do that. Your brain is wired not to let you do that.
Man, you don't want to kill the energy.
No, man, I really don't.
So this Friday, we won't do Soapbox Friday.
I could gripe, but I don't want to. And it's been a long time since I hadn't wanted to. I literally don't want to. Can you believe that, Stephen?
Well, next Friday, I'm sure one of us will have something that we can get upset about.
Yeah, and inherently, I'll run into somebody who wants something for nothing, and that'll chap my hide. So.
Well, for those of you who don't know, we always save our gripe sessions for Fridays. If you're going to take it anywhere, take it into the weekend and get over it by Monday, and then start with a positive attitude. Start your week off right. I can't stand when people come into the office on a Monday morning, upset, frowned up, and complaining about something. That sets a bad tone.
It absolutely does. And not only that, but it runs contrary to my secret to being successfully married. Because I don't let people, I don't let my spouse, and you shouldn't either, don't let your spouse go to bed angry. Stay up and fight.
Get it all
out.
Well, guys, if you've been tuning in this week, the man that's sitting to Irvin's left, you know that he was on the show with us, I think, this past Monday. All right. We got Mr. Jack Warkenth here in the studio with us. He is the CEO of Next Step Solutions. We talked about the American dream and how to secure yours, and Jack is involved in a new venture that we talked about on Monday, and the name of the company is Araya Clean.
Araya Clean, yes.
Araya Clean. So if you've missed that show, definitely go back to the archives. You can go to www.cruiseandhughes.com, and you can listen to that show. And it was a great talk on what to do if you're in that fighting space.
Sure.
And Jack has some great opportunities that he's brought to Texas. And go and check out Monday's show. But today, Jack, we know that you are the consummate sales guru, professional extraordinaire, and we want to talk about sales systems, and what most entrepreneurs, I don't want to use the word most, just most that I know, fail to put in any sort of sales system, and then they wonder why I'm not getting the results. They think that advertising, although advertising is important, advertising is not a sales strategy.
I will second that emotion.
Okay.
Today, I was on the phone with a candidate who was referred to us, Next Step Solutions, by a mutual friend. Like your business, John, we're heavily dependent on referrals.
Certainly.
And networking.
Right.
So this was a referral. And I felt kind of bad because in the course of this go-to meeting, I was asking the basic questions from this company. They came to me because they need sales help, and they didn't know where to go. And so they wanted me to either find salespeople they can hire or create a lead generation and appointment setting system for them. So I was asking the perfunctory questions like, What is your typical sales cycle? What is the typical cost of a sale? Who is your target market?
Sure.
They couldn't answer any of these questions. And I felt embarrassed about 30 minutes into the call, and I said, Jason, I'm not judging you, but for me to help you with sales, you've got to understand your product and your process.
That's right.
Most entrepreneurs know the product, but they don't have a process.
That's right.
And I asked him, well, who are making the sales today? Well, we've got 3 people part-time. Okay. Tell me about those people. One is a friend of the owner. One is a student at U of H. And they were all over the board. So the moral of the story is nothing gets sold until someone wakes up Monday morning and their purpose in life is to open the next relationship. And in this, it was a particular software type of IT company.
Okay.
They had nobody that wakes up Monday morning with a sales process. That's why one of the most popular things we do at Next Step Solutions is we introduce what we call a 12 steps to a sales culture. It happens to be a part of our website because when we come into a company, the first thing we have to ascertain is this a sales culture? Most companies today are technology-driven companies, operations-driven companies, finance-driven companies. So we've created 12 steps to a sales culture just to get you in the right direction. By sales culture, I mean,
hold it right there. We're gonna hold you right there.
Good.
Because that's something that I want to make certain that we get in right after this break. I want to talk about sales culture, sales cycle, and we're going to get you familiar with those terms that you need to have in your business right now to improve your revenues. Guys, you're listening to Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes. It's brought to you by Small Business Today magazine. It is the magazine that is for and about Houston's entrepreneurs. If you would like a copy, go to smallbusinesstodaymagazine.com. and put your information in. We'll send one to your email inbox each and every month. More in a moment with Mr. Jack Warkenth.
Turn up the sales on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Anything Internet will evaluate your website for marketing power, for traffic, for conversion rates. We'll figure out why people buy and why people go away. We'll help you generate the correct traffic that will turn into customers and make you money. Turn the juice up on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Turn your website into a web business. 1-800-686-5986.
Very often, people come to me saying,
Stephen, how do I make radio advertising work?
or even worse,
We've tried radio ads before and got little to no response.
so how do you make the radio work for you? Well, you could have a clever jingle.
Come buy my stuff. Come buy my stuff.
Or you may act crazy and loud and have an unbeatable offer.
I'll save you cash, I'll save you time, and I'll do it today, guaranteed.
But these techniques may work for some and not for others. The real key to advertising is to go back to basic marketing principles. Target your ideal prospect, make your message clear and concise, and touch the listener by connecting to their needs. Stephen K. Media specializes in radio advertising promotion that effectively broadcasts your company's message, yielding higher response and better results. As an independent agency representing major talk radio stations, we help you negotiate rates and place your ads targeting your ideal prospect. Call us today at 713-278-9109 or visit stephenk.biz. That's 713-278-9109 or email info@stephenk.biz. Are you looking to improve your health and well-being? Have you lost your energy and vitality? Do you wake up feeling 10 years older than you actually are? Looking for a doctor who really listens? Looking for a natural alternative to your chronic health challenge? Dr. Dan Cuny is a chiropractic nutritionist who helps restore your health from the inside out using whole food supplements and specific nutritional counseling. Learn more about Dr. Dan's 7 Pillars of Health on his website, drdancuny.com, or give him a call at 713-295-9358.
Introducing the alternative to heavy news. Now at,
Excuse me, heavy news?
you know, disastrous, politics, stock market,
And this alternative is...
coffee news. It's entertaining stories, famous quotes, and family fun. It's light news. Why it's so light, it's free.
Free?
In restaurants and coffee shops all across Houston. So next time you're waiting in a restaurant, look for coffee news. If they don't have it, tell them to get it by visiting coffeenewshouston.com.
It's light. It's free. It's coffee news.
With my Plantronics Voyager Pro Plus headset, I'm free. Free to talk to you while carrying a laptop bag, holding a cup of coffee, and fishing for my car keys. Now, you may ask me, Jim, is it really necessary to use the phone while doing all these things? And my answer is it really necessary not to? Plantronics Voyager Pro Plus. It's my so comfortable, why wouldn't I use it all day headset.
Get your Voyager Pro Plus at Plantronics.com.
You're listening to Small Business Today. Visit us on the web at cruiseandhughes.com. Here are your hosts, Cruz and Hughes.
Okay, welcome back to the show. Before we go any further, the first thing I like to say is if you're in small business and you are not achieving the sales that you wish to achieve, I would love for you to give Jack Warkenth a call. Let him ask you a couple questions about your business. Let him ask you a couple questions about where you anticipate or hope to be in your business, and then see what type of methodology he could put together to help you get there. Jack, would you please give your telephone number?
Sure. Thanks, John. 832-344-6998, and it will ring right into my right pocket.
Man, wow. Okay,
That's
well,
right.
I mean, he's giving
To
you...
your audience only.
Oh, man, that's
my
the hotline.
cell phone. That's the hotline to my right pocket.
Well, and if you want to connect with him on his business website, it's www.nextstep-solutions.com. That's nextstep-solutions.com. Now, we were talking a little bit about sales culture.
Right.
We were talking about the 12 steps to a sales culture. You want to elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah. And let me just throw this out now. Jack, one of the things that I'm hoping that we talk about is to enlighten our audience on what information they should know before they start trying to work with a sales consultant.
Sure. The first thing I want to do is I want to give what we've come up with the best definition of a sales culture, because there are people listening to the show today and they're going back and saying, I wonder if we're a sales culture. So by definition, I just wanted to read this quote. And I quote, an organization-wide commitment to a system of shared values and objectives which creates superior sales experiences and service results, continuously exceeding expectations. It's an environment where sales representatives are heroes and every employee is a sales representative.
Awesome.
Now, you know, there are times, there are times when the sales team in an organization can be hated by those people who provide other processes and services.
Right.
And so I have to ask, now I ran into that in my business, Jack. I was a mortgage banker, and my underwriters and processors hated the salespeople, and the salespeople hated the underwriters and processors. Now, for someone who has that love-hate relationship in their organization, how do you bridge that gap?
You know, you are so right. And the perception is salespeople are the Gold Coasters. They're always the ones that get the recognition, the commission checks, they're driving the fancy cars, the nice suits.
Sure.
Well, that is a perception. And the company, the way I would coach that is make sure that everybody in the company understands that they have a huge gap between outside perception and inside reality.
Right.
What I mean by this is most successful sales cultures narrow the gap between perception and reality. Every person in that company needs to understand and appreciate how their paycheck is earned.
That's right.
And it's earned by customers.
Right.
And without salespeople, it's not a part-time thing.
That's right. That's good.
It is the only thing.
That's right. That's
and
right.
So that goes back to the C-level executive. That goes back to the person who's sitting on the top floor with window exposure on two sides.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's that person that needs to bring the message down and remind everybody that our checks, though not signed by Irv and John Cruz, without their sales, we wouldn't have a payroll.
That is exactly right. You know what, Jack? I'm reminded, I spent a short stint in the NFL. Working in the front office with
Were you a pulling guard?
No, man.
I was wondering that.
In the front office. No. I was one of the consultants working in there. But what my experience is that in the NFL and most NFL franchises, everyone in that organization understands that the players are ultimately what it is that people are buying.
That's right.
That's right.
And in the minute you can't understand that, you're out.
You're going to have problems.
But I blame the front office for that. And so our clients, I guess our sweet spot over the years, are people who have never been formally trained in sales.
Sure.
They're the people who are professionals, who are business owners, who are expected to make it rain, though they've never had the training along those lines.
Sure.
Now, I'll train the people. I came from a background with IBM. I'll train people who carry a bag all day, but they're bred and they're trained to be salespeople. Our biggest challenge, and most of our clients come from the professions where there's never been any formal training.
Right.
So
absolutely.
we focus on two skills, Irvin. This is really important to understand. Sales is about two ingredients: interpersonal skills and communication skills.
No doubt.
Interpersonal skills is networking, which is the number one source of opportunities. But most people don't understand how to convert relationships into revenue streams.
That's true.
It's not about showing up and throwing up. And it's not about just tossing your business cards to anybody who'll catch one. It's about building relationships.
That's right.
And communication skills is not just about talking. It's about the heard word, which is listening, the read word, which is reading, the written word, which is writing, and the spoken word. You have to be good at those two skills. And if you do that, we can almost guarantee that you'll be 85% successful in life, because that's what sales is.
That's true.
Is relationships and communication skills.
That's what it comes down to.
That's right.
You know, and to regress just a minute, when we talk about keeping a sales culture in your entire organization, one of the things that I used to refer to my staff is that, you know, I would ask, do you love your body?
Sure.
But do you hate your heart?
No.
You hate your kidneys?
No.
Hate your feet?
No.
Hate your hands?
No.
Why not?
Because they're part of the body.
Yeah.
So are sales.
Yeah, that's right.
So are those other processes. We are one body here.
Right.
So one body part cannot hate another body part,
Right.
and then we continue to function at optimal levels.
Right.
And helping them understand, as Jack so eloquently put it, that our paycheck depends on each and every one of us, and it starts on that sales floor.
That's right.
And you know, and I think that every organization has to make certain that they don't have that love-hate relationship between sales and production.
And one of the Jack snacks I'll offer this hour, since you know I would never come to your studio without offering a Jack snack.
We
Right?
gotta
I
hear
can
it, Jack.
appreciate
Let's
that.
hear it.
Well, this snack is a very easy one. It's intuitively obvious to us. Is if you don't ASK, you don't GET.
That's the truth.
Ah.
If you don't ASK, you don't GET. But if you carry a bag for a living, if you don't ASK, you don't EAT.
That's true.
That's exactly right.
And I bring that up for a reason, and I'll cite an example that just happened a couple months ago. I'm out there ad nauseum. I consider sales a hobby, a passion. I'm not an expert, but I'm a lifelong student of the craft.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm always testing my craft. I'm always ASKing,
Sure.
whether something's negotiable or not. And I will tell you this, true confession. I was beat up by a client this week because I came back and I tried to negotiate a 3-year contract with somebody everybody knows in Houston.
Okay.
But the boss called me and chastised me and said, "Who do you think you are negotiating this? Everybody knows it's worth much more than that. I only get one of these calls a year, and you happen to be the one this year." If she wasn't such a good friend, I would have taken it personally.
Yeah.
And we made up afterward.
Yeah.
But the point is, if that's the worst thing that can happen for you to try to negotiate, for instance, my girlfriend and I were at the Biltmore, Arizona in November. Beautiful hotel,
Okay.
Nice.
100 years old, gorgeous grounds.
Oh, the Biltmore on the East Coast.
The Arizona Biltmore.
Oh, the Arizona.
The
Yeah,
Arizona
okay,
Biltmore.
all right.
Yeah,
Okay,
but yes.
All right. All right.
History, beautiful. Well, when we checked out, I looked at the clerk and I said, "And I'd like to have some satisfaction from you because our room was haunted." She says, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, our TV would go on in the middle of the night. The clock radio went out. I think our room was haunted, and therefore I would like some satisfaction." She says, "Would $200 satisfy you?" And I said, "Yeah, that would make me feel real good." And here's the most interesting thing. She says, "Yeah, we get that occasionally." Oh! So now, how many people would ever think to ask as they're checking out for a concession because I think my room was haunted?
I bet you could count them on 2 hands.
What's the worst thing that can possibly happen?
They
She'd
could say
laugh at
no.
me and say, "What are you talking about haunted?
Get out of
Go
here."
get him." I got a $200 concession, which about paid for a night. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
True story.
You know what? As you bring that up, now I got to ask this about your girlfriend. Now, what's her thought process as you're doing this?
Oh.
Is she absolutely mortified by it? And the reason I ask is because I'm like you. I will negotiate anything. And even if it's something that I lose on, it was just great practice. And I love the jousting. But my wife gets so nervous, she will walk away as I'm sitting here negotiating and going back and forth on price.
That's a great question. I promised Kemi Kim I wouldn't mention her name. So I will tell you this. She gets very uncomfortable.
Okay.
But because she's the yin to my yang and she makes me whole, she is the analytical one. She is the operations, the logical one.
Right.
And it makes her uncomfortable occasionally, like when I'm at a restaurant and I'll ask the waiter, "Excuse me, would you bring the manager over to the table?"
Now, she tenses up, huh?
And she tenses up. And this poor wait staff, this just happened at Super Salad the other day. She starts sweating profusely, and she brings the manager over because that's never good news, right?
That's right.
And my question was, who cleans the outside of your restaurants and the parking lots?
There you are.
I'd like an opportunity to tell you about a riot clean. Well, now, my girlfriend was a little nervous. The wait staff was a little nervous. But you know what? Life's a sales call.
That's it.
And when you go through life with one weapon, a hammer, everybody looks like a nail.
You got to drive them in. You know?
You got to drive them in. So
wow, Jack, that is a fantastic.
Now, again, I say, if you would like to connect with Jack, you can go to his business website right now at www.nextstep-solutions.com. These are the types of attitudes that you want to have in your salespeople. Fearlessness.
That's right.
I mean, to me, that's if you don't have that, do you feel that you could be an adequate salesperson?
You have to ask yourself, what is the worst thing that can possibly happen? And if it's not immoral, illegal, or fattening, what is the downside?
I love that. And I especially like the fattening part. You're listening to Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes. We're here with Jack Warkenth, having a great time. Folks, if you need a customer relationship management system, go to salesnexus.com, download your free trial copy. You get 30 days. And guess what? When you install it, you get the opportunity to actually populate your customer relationship management system with some brand new leads. More in a moment with Jack right after this.
Are you looking to improve your health and well-being? Have you lost your energy and vitality? Do you wake up feeling 10 years older than you actually are? Looking for a doctor who really listens? Looking for a natural alternative to your chronic health challenge? Dr. Dan Cooney is a chiropractic nutritionist who helps restore your health from the inside out using whole food supplements and specific nutritional counseling. Learn more about Dr. Dan's 7 Pillars of Health on his website, drdancooney.com, or give him a call at 713-295-9358.
Introducing the alternative to heavy news. Now at...
Excuse me, heavy news?
You know, disasters, politics, stock market.
And this alternative is...
Coffee news. It's entertaining stories, famous quotes, and family fun. It's light news. Why it's so light, it's free.
Free?
In restaurants and coffee shops all across Houston. So next time you're waiting in a restaurant, look for coffee news. If they don't have it, tell them to get it by visiting coffeenewshouston.com.
It's light. It's free. It's coffee news.
With my Plantronics Voyager Pro Plus headset, I'm free. Free to talk to you while carrying a laptop bag, holding a cup of coffee, and fishing for my car keys. Now, you may ask me, Jim, is it really necessary to use the phone while doing all these things? And my answer is it really necessary not to? Plantronics Voyager Pro Plus. It's my so comfortable, why wouldn't I use it all day headset.
Get your Voyager Pro Plus at Plantronics.com.
Turn up the sales on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Anything Internet will evaluate your website for marketing power, for traffic, for conversion rates. We'll figure out why people buy and why people go away. We'll help you generate the correct traffic that will turn into customers and make you money. Turn the juice up on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Turn your website into a web business. 1-800-686-5986.
Very often, people come to me saying,
Stephen, how do I make radio advertising work?
Or even worse,
we've tried radio ads before and got little to no response.
So how do you make the radio work for you? Well, you could have a clever jingle.
Come buy my stuff. Come buy my stuff.
Or you may act crazy and loud and have an unbeatable offer.
I'll save you cash, I'll save you time, and I'll do it today, guaranteed.
But these techniques may work for some and not for others. The real key to advertising is to go back to basic marketing principles. Target your ideal prospect, make your message clear and concise, and touch the listener by connecting to their needs. Stephen K. Media specializes in radio advertising promotion that effectively broadcasts your company's message, yielding higher response and better results. As an independent agency representing major talk radio stations, we help you negotiate rates and place your ads targeting your ideal prospect. Call us today at 713-278-9109 or visit stephenk.biz. That's 713-278-9109 or email info@stephenk.biz.
You're listening to Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes. Follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. We're wherever you are.
Okay, welcome back to the show. You know, I wasn't feeling too hot when the show started.
You feel better now?
But man, you know, 10 or 15 minutes around Jack.
I know, right?
You know, that tickle in the back of my throat is gone. You know, the sniffles are sort of drying up. You're getting the blood flowing. You know, I'm feeling good now.
Warkenth is a great antihistamine.
Hey, thank you. What am I going to take when I have a stuffy nose?
Now, you know what? We were talking a little bit at the break, and I wish you guys sometimes could hear some of the conversation that goes on at the break. But you have two fantastic acronyms that I think need to be espoused on the radio. One is called a near marketing strategy. Let us know exactly what does that mean.
And the reason I mention this is Irv had mentioned a mutual friend of ours, Craig Klein, Sales Nexus, who I had the pleasure of visiting with him at the last SPT rollout party at the Mark, and we were talking about not only his CRM but this other service and function we were talking about, and I mentioned in the studio off mic that it's very important for every one of us as business owners to create something that I call a near marketing strategy, which is a network of existing economic relationships where you're teaming, you're partnering with people who have a complementary, not competitive service.
Right.
Because the sum of the parts is always greater than the whole. You can't be expected to do and know everything. And how valuable is it to be able to bring in an entire team of people to solve not only the problem in which you were hired, but all the other problems you identify along the way.
Right.
Exactly.
So a near strategy really encourages you, the listener, to create a network of existing economic relationships that you all feed each other, because you know what? Sales is like life. It's a team sport.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I had mentioned in passing, near beats far.
That's it. I was about to say
far is firing at random, which is how most people try to grow their business, is firing at random. They don't understand that sales is a team sport and sales is a contact sport. You have to make contacts.
No doubt.
Now, Irv, how would you say then in your sales career that you picked up the lessons of being adept at sales? Did you ever take any formal training, or did you just sort of learn along the way?
Actually, I did take formal training. I was trained initially when I was in my 20s. There was a guy who was a sales trainer. He was going around the country. He was relatively new then. He had just put out a book. His guy's name was Tom Hopkins.
Oh, yeah.
And I was actually trained by Tom.
Wow.
Tom was doing his own trainings then.
He was one of the originals.
He was one of the originals, and he literally he came to Houston. He spent, back then, he would literally spend a week in a particular
Steve
town.
Levine is a student of
Tom?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And in fact, Tom changed my life, quite frankly.
Wow.
I mean, he really took interest in me because I was young. I worked hard. And let me tell you, he was back then, John, he was charging $3,000 for his week-long training. And I was working at a radio station, and my GM comes in and he says, Irv, he says, you are the hardest working kid I have ever seen in sales, and you have no idea what you're doing. And he says, I am going to pay for you to go to sales training, and I want you to go to this guy's. He's saying, let me tell you what, if I get any feedback that you missed a class, that you slept, that you did anything other than fully cooperate, you are fired.
And he transformed your life.
Changed my life. And I went from Tom Hopkins, John, to my really all the way up until I was at CBS Television. And this was 1999. Mm-hmm. I had a second formal sales training from a guy that we're absolutely going to have on this show one day.
Okay.
Because I just talked to him. He's in Washington, D.C. now, a guy named John Fredericks.
Okay.
John Fredericks was a sales trainer. He's not anymore because he's over there lobbying and being in politics and so on. But let me tell you what, John Fredericks had one of the worst speech impediments you ever heard. All right. And what was funny about John, in fact, I just spoke to him over the holidays because I was so excited to talk to him. He is in radio.
Isn't that amazing? He really overcame his obstacle.
He really overcame his obstacle.
Back to Tom Hopkins, though, the investment you made, the $3,000 back then even, which is a whole lot more today.
Sure.
Most people, for some reason, seem reticent about investing in their number one asset, and that's themselves.
Absolutely.
Right.
What's up?
And, that doesn't cost. Education pays. And if you think education is expensive, consider the cost of ignorance.
That's
my goodness.
That's exactly right.
Man.
And most people are ignorant when it comes to sales.
But you know what, Jack? A lot of people have this idea that they're not paying. And the truth is you cannot get out of paying, folks.
Yeah.
You're either going to pay for being an expert or you're going to pay for not being.
Yeah,
but
either way you're going to pay.
You are going to pay. And there's a price either way. Yeah. One's a heck of a lot more expensive than the other.
That's exactly
one of the books, I read all of Malcolm Gladwell's books. I really like his books. And he talked about the 10,000 hour specialists.
That's right.
If you really want to become an expert, a world-renowned expert, invest a minimum of 10,000 hours in your craft. Whatever it is.
But yeah, Tom changed my life, man. So
and with that 10,000 hours, I sort of quantified that in the number of days once, and I think it came out to be like 416 days.
You know what? You did do that.
Yeah,
I remember that.
That you got to do something for 416 days, 24 hours a day.
That's interesting.
And then you make yourself a master at it.
And you know what? I will espouse to anyone on the air that if you pursue your passion, the money always follows.
It does.
The recognition curve always precedes the revenue curve. And the difficult challenge most people have is they go through their entire life living this fetid existence, and they've never uncovered or discovered the brilliance within. Everybody has it. So few people recognize it. And those that do have difficulty pulling it to the surface. That's why education, whether it's sales coaching, whether it's training, all of those aspects help someone recognize their brilliance and bring it out. Once you manifest it, you never have to worry about a job again. Job is just over broke.
Absolutely.
Right. Because if you have a job, you have no such thing as job security today.
No.
But if you're on a mission, you're never unemployed.
That's true.
So if people would look at what they do as more of a mission instead of a job, just over broke, you'll never be unemployed.
Well, I have to say then, to use your ism, the cost of ignorance is much higher than the price of education.
That's exactly right.
That's my new quote.
Thank you, John.
Now, I got to ask this. Now, when you go into a new business, take me through the steps.
Sure.
And I know everyone is a little different. I'm sure when you come up with your prognosis, your approach may change a little bit depending on the industry and who you're dealing with. But I want to know, give me some of those things.
That's a great question.
A business owner should be ready to get to you terms of information.
That's a real good question. Sometimes I think I'm more of a cartographer at Next Step. I'm a map builder because the first thing I must do, just like when you walk into the mall at the Galleria, you have to look at the directory for that red X that says you are here.
Find yourself.
First of all, as a business owner, I have one suggestion for you. Before you call me in, you better know where you are.
Wow.
Because I am going to grill you. So until I understand the X on your map that says you are here. So what I do, John, is to answer directly is I figure out where they are and where they're going. Our job at Next Step Solutions is to create a map to get them from where they are today to where they want to be, and we'll say at the end of the year, because people like nice one-year chunks.
Yeah.
Sure.
And what we'll do is I'll ask a series of questions, but as Stephen Covey, the late, great Stephen Covey, I've shared the podium with him, I've done speeches with him. Okay. The best book he ever wrote was The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Sure.
I live one of his 7 habits, and that is begin with the end in mind. So with my clients, we sit down, and there's no cost for this consultation. I sit down, and we dream of the possibilities by answering this question. Where do you want to be? Let's begin with the end in mind. What is your strategy? What is your end game? What is your winner's circle? And I get them describing where they want to be. And I'm processing this information. The answer, you and I know, is always sales.
Right.
But it's just a matter of how it manifests itself.
Sure.
2 of our most popular services right now are outsourcing sales to us where we become your inside sales rep.
Awesome.
And the second is a lead generation and appointment setting. Because you realize in sales that there's two activities, prospecting and selling. The only way salespeople get paid, though, is by what they sell.
Right.
You don't get paid for that 80% of prospecting. So I am not part of this cold call school. I don't believe in cold calls. I believe you can always take the chill out of a cold call, make them a warm call. Mm-hmm. Because the less time you spend prospecting, the more time you're going to spend selling. So I talk to my clients and say, let's define your sales process.
Sure.
How do you sell it? What's the typical sale? And here's a question that really floors them. What is the lifetime value of your customer?
Wow.
Because you're not selling them one, like Carl Sewell taught me. Sewell Cadillac.
Yeah.
When my parents buy their Cadillac, that's not a $25,000 sale. This is way back when.
Yeah.
That's a $250,000 sale. Why? Because my parents in that generation buy a new car every 2 years. Mm-hmm. So you're really selling me 10 cars.
Right.
So understand LTV, lifetime value. What is a sale worth? And that also helps me justify the investment they make in us.
Huh.
Because if I bring John and Irv to the table, and one sale, let's say, is worth $10,000,
right,
they've pretty much offset the cost of a sales campaign.
I like that. We got to go to break. When we come back, I want to ask you, some people don't understand what a sales cycle is, and I want you to sort of walk through that process, because for people who don't sell, they don't know very much about it.
I'll talk about the sales formula.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. We absolutely need to do that. Folks, you're listening to Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes. It's brought to you by DirecTV with over 285 channels and NFL Sunday Ticket. Packages start at just $29.99 a month. Sign up today at 888-344-9296. Don't go away. The education continues right after this.
Turn up the sales on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Anything Internet will evaluate your website for marketing power, for traffic, for conversion rates. We'll figure out why people buy and why people go away. We'll help you generate the correct traffic that will turn into customers and make you money. Turn the juice up on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Turn your website into a web business. 1-800-686-5986.
Very often, people come to me saying,
Stephen, how do I make radio advertising work?
Or even worse,
we've tried radio ads before and got little to no response.
So how do you make the radio work for you? Well, you could have a clever jingle.
Come buy my stuff. Come buy my stuff.
Or you may act crazy and loud and have an unbeatable offer.
I'll save you cash. I'll save you time, and I'll do it today, guaranteed.
But these techniques may work for some and not for others. The real key to advertising is to go back to basic marketing principles. Target your ideal prospect, make your message clear and concise, and touch the listener by connecting to their needs. Stephen K. Media specializes in radio advertising promotion that effectively broadcasts your company's message, yielding higher response and better results. As an independent agency representing major talk radio stations, we help you negotiate rates and place your ads targeting your ideal prospect. Call us today at 713-278-9109 or visit stephenk.biz. That's 713-278-9109 or email info@stephenk.biz. Are you looking to improve your health and well-being? Have you lost your energy and vitality? Do you wake up feeling 10 years older than you actually are? Looking for a doctor who really listens? Looking for a natural alternative to your chronic health challenge? Dr. Dan Cooney is a chiropractic nutritionist who helps restore your health from the inside out using whole food supplements and specific nutritional counseling. Learn more about Dr. Dan's 7 Pillars of Health on his website, drdancooney.com, or give him a call at 713-295-9358.
Introducing the alternative to heavy news. Now at...
Excuse me, heavy news?
You know, disasters, politics, stock market.
And this alternative is...
Coffee news. It's entertaining stories, famous quotes, and family fun. It's light news. Why it's so light, it's free.
Free?
In restaurants and coffee shops all across Houston. So next time you're waiting in a restaurant, look for coffee news. If they don't have it, tell them to get it by visiting coffeenewshouston.com.
It's light. It's free. It's coffee news.
With my Plantronics Voyager Pro Plus headset, I'm free. Free to talk to you while carrying a laptop bag, holding a cup of coffee, and fishing for my car keys. Now, you may ask me, Jim, is it really necessary to use the phone while doing all these things? My answer is it really necessary not to? Plantronics Voyager Pro Plus. It's my so comfortable, why wouldn't I use it all day headset.
Get your Voyager Pro Plus at Plantronics.com.
You're listening to Small Business Today. Visit us on the web at cruiseandhughes.com. Here are your hosts, Cruz and Hughes.
Welcome back to the show. Our guest today is Mr. Jack Warkenth. He is the CEO of Next Step Solutions. Guys, if your business is an engine, sales is most definitely the oil that keeps everything lubricated. I encourage you to go to Jack's website, www.nextstep-solutions.com. Again, that's www.nextstep-solutions.com. Your engine has to run on the oil, and the oil is sales, and that's why we asked Jack to come in here and talk about what he knows best and what he does best, and that is building relationships, closing a sale, and in that process, we said that we would discuss a little bit of the sales formula.
But first of all, before we do that, what I do best is I steal great material, because I believe why invent mediocrity when you can steal genius, right?
I'm going to steal that.
So I've just got a new Jack snack. Your company is the engine and sales is the fuel. I like that, John Cruz.
Absolutely.
I've just adopted it. I'll give you attribution the first time. After that, it's mine.
Not a problem. Not a problem. Now, I didn't know that there was a formula for selling.
Yeah,
you mean like A squared plus B squared equals C squared, like the Pythagorean theorem?
I have to dust off my quadrinomial equation and that because I think I was absent that day in calculus. But I will tell you this: sales is formulaic. There is a process. And one of the things, back to your question in the last segment, John, is I ask my clients to help me understand what their sales formula is. Now, listen to me. And I'll just take one linear path to give you a word picture of what I'm talking about.
Okay.
How many phone calls does it take for you to get an appointment? How many appointments does it take for you to generate a proposal? How many proposals does it take for you to open a new relationship? How big is that average relationship? I take them through the phone call because sales is also a numbers game. And if I can gauge that it takes you 100 phone calls to get an appointment, and it takes you 20 appointments to get a proposal, and it takes you 5 proposals to get a new customer, I can tell you today how many phone calls you need to make a sale.
Sure.
Do you see what I mean?
Absolutely.
And we work backwards from there. And now my question to you is, Irv, would you like us to do a 100-hour sales campaign and make 100 hours worth of telephone calls because I can make this many calls, it will generate this many sales? Would you like to outsource that person and pay me to hire that person to make the calls for you? So I'm in the business of solving their problem.
Yeah.
And the problem is they don't understand what the sales formula is. There's always a formula.
Wow.
So the first thing I have my clients do, and I did some coaching right before I was on the air, I have a local client, Aptia Systems, and I work with them, and I work with their sales force, and I get them to give to me on the very first day something called a Century Club, Century. The Century Club is 100 contacts, names, businesses, contact information, address. I want to see 100 contacts to start with. That's called the Century Club. Congratulations. No more than 100, but there's always got to be 100 on your list. If somebody drops off because they die or they buy somebody else, then you have to fill it up. And here's what I do. I take them through the 5 C's of sales, and that is contact, go into a candidate.
Okay.
A candidate is somebody I've had connection with and I've qualified.
Sure.
It used to be called prospects in those days.
Right.
Sure.
I've replaced the word with candidate. How many candidates to turn into a customer?
Mm-hmm.
A customer is a one-off type of a buyer. Somebody says, you know what, I'll go to your speech,
Sure.
but I don't know if I'm going to hire you to train our company.
Sure.
Yeah.
A client is somebody who hears me speak and says, come on in and do a 1-year training contract with my company. That's a client. See the difference between
Sure.
customer and client?
Absolutely.
And the 5th C is one that's often overlooked, and that is crusader. A crusader is someone who's out there carrying your baton without you being there. Do you understand the power of leverage?
Oh my
If
God.
I was a salesperson with a little training for my clients, I would make them all crusaders, which, by the way, I try to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll enjoy the best residual of being in sales, and it's called Swiss money. Sales while I sleep soundly. Would anybody like to make some Swiss money out there?
The only money I like.
Money. I love it when I get a call and somebody says, "Can you be up in Kingwood at 9 o'clock on Wednesday morning? I want to talk to you about sales." I said, "Well, yeah, I'd love to." "Yeah, you were referred by Annette, and she said we need to hire you for our firm." That's called Swiss money. Absolutely. I woke up and I checked the mailbox, and there was a check for 6 months worth of sales training.
Awesome.
Well, you know what? I'm going to tell you. If you didn't already know, there is a formula. Jack just gave you that formula for sales. And the good thing about it, what your business does, if I still don't feel proficient enough, I'm not ready to have that sales team, I don't feel that I can manage them, your company assists in that process.
Oh, yeah.
So I could essentially have a sales force, but like as you said, it's outsourced.
That's correct. You know, people outsource their CFO.
Sure.
You've seen it all the time.
Right.
Sure.
People outsource their human remains department, right? Human resources department. So they outsource their.
They don't bring any revenue in.
Freudian slip. So if they can outsource their marketing department, today is the day they should consider starting to outsource their sales department. It's a natural extension of our outsourced society. If you want evidence, read another one of my favorite classic books by Charles Handy called The Age of Unreason. He talks about the Shamrock organization for business today. And there are 3 leaves on his shamrock. The first is temporary labor. That's what Macy's does over the Christmas holiday to staff to the peak opportunity.
Sure.
Then there's the middle, which is the consultants. They're the people that are paid by the drink, paid by the project.
Right.
And then when it's done, they go away.
Right.
The other leaf is ever diminishing. It's called the core, the employees. Without John and Irv, this radio show doesn't exist. Everyone else supports you.
Sure.
So if people understand what their shamrock looks like, they'll realize that very few people should be employed. Expertise should be contracted, and temporary employment on peak seasons.
Wow.
That's the formula.
Wow. And would you say then that our corporate culture is moving towards that?
Oh, they have been for years.
Yeah.
That's why so many companies are downsizing, right-sizing. They're getting rid of the burdened overhead, and they're changing it into an expense, because many people leave corporate America and they get fired, but then they get hired back as a consultant.
Right.
Why is that? Because it becomes an expense on their books.
Yeah.
You don't have that 40% of burdened overhead, which is benefits.
That's right.
And that was in the days where you still had defined benefits. Now you have defined contributions.
That's exactly right.
Big Blue, IBM doesn't have that anymore. So, yes, people are paying for expertise. Why not pay for sales?
You know what? And you're not matching that FICA and
That's
and
right.
all of that.
You don't have all.
We're an expense, and if it's not paying off, you fire them.
That's exactly right. And you know what, too? The big deal about outsourcing sales is that now it's predictable. In other words, the company that you're using in this case, Next Step, what's cool about that is the sales system allows you to take preemptive measures.
Correct.
About how you're going to stabilize your company's income, and that's the big deal about sales.
And the best outcome is, even if you don't keep us for more than 6 months to a year, we have defined the sales process, your compensation plan, your territory assignments. So hire us for 6 months to a year, and then we'll hire our replacements.
Yeah. I like that. Exactly. But and when we come back from the break, just very quickly, I want to just talk about how long does the average person keep you on board?
That's a great question.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that when we come back. Folks, you're listening to Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes. It's brought to you by RingCentral.com. To get RingCentral's virtual PBX for your business, you can give them a call today at 888-716-5022. More in a moment with Jack right after this.
Are you looking to improve your health and well-being? Have you lost your energy and vitality? Do you wake up feeling 10 years older than you actually are? Looking for a doctor who really listens? Looking for a natural alternative to your chronic health challenge? Dr. Dan Cooney is a chiropractic nutritionist who helps restore your health from the inside out using whole food supplements and specific nutritional counseling. Learn more about Dr. Dan's 7 Pillars of Health on his website, drdancooney.com, or give him a call at 713-295-9358.
Introducing the alternative to heavy news. Now at...
Excuse me, heavy news?
You know, Disasters, politics, stock market.
And this alternative is
Coffee News. It's entertaining stories, famous quotes, and family fun. It's light news. Why it's so light, it's free.
free.
In restaurants and coffee shops all across Houston. So next time you're waiting in a restaurant, look for Coffee News. If they don't have it, tell them to get it by visiting coffeenewshouston.com.
It's light. It's free. It's Coffee News.
With my Plantronics Voyager Pro Plus headset, I'm free. Free to talk to you while carrying a laptop bag, holding a cup of coffee, and fishing for my car keys. Now, you may ask me, Jim, is it really necessary to use the phone while doing all these things? My answer is it really necessary not to? Plantronics Voyager Pro Plus. It's my so comfortable, why wouldn't I use it all day headset?
Get your Voyager Pro Plus at Plantronics.com.
Turn up the sales on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Anything Internet will evaluate your website for marketing power, for traffic, for conversion rates. We'll figure out why people buy and why people go away. We'll help you generate the correct traffic that will turn into customers and make you money. Turn the juice up on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Turn your website into a web business. 1-800-686-5986.
Very often, people come to me saying,
Stephen, how do I make radio advertising work?
or even worse,
We've tried radio ads before and got little to no response.
so how do you make the radio work for you? Well, you could have a clever jingle.
Come buy my stuff. Come buy my stuff.
Or you may act crazy and loud and have an unbeatable offer.
I'll save you cash, I'll save you time, and I'll do it today, guaranteed.
But these techniques may work for some and not for others. The real key to advertising is to go back to basic marketing principles. Target your ideal prospect, make your message clear and concise, and touch the listener by connecting to their needs. Stephen K. Media specializes in radio advertising promotion that effectively broadcasts your company's message, yielding higher response and better results. As an independent agency representing major talk radio stations, we help you negotiate rates and place your ads targeting your ideal prospect. Call us today at 713-278-9109 or visit stephenk.biz. That's 713-278-9109 or email info@stephenk.biz.
You're listening to Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes. Follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. We're wherever you are.
The man's name is Jack Warkenth. He is well-equipped and standing by to help you out with all of your sales questions and your sales needs. Jack, before we close out, would you say your telephone number again?
Sure, 832-344-6998. And thanks for saying I'm well-equipped. I appreciate that.
And his business website is www.nextstep-solutions.com. That's nextstep-solutions.com. What were we going to talk about?
I'll tell you what we're going to talk about. You were asking about what's the typical engagement length.
That's it. How long does somebody normally keep you on?
And that's a good question from this standpoint, that transformation is a process. It's not an event. So even though Tom Hopkins can own a room and you leave with your hair on fire and you walk through the walls, that burst of inspiration often dissipates.
Yes.
So sales transformation is a process. I suggest a minimum of 6 months. Most of my clients engage for a year. But with this caveat, if we're not delivering value, give us 30 days notice and we'll go away.
Yeah.
I'll never ask you to pay for something you're not enjoying.
Sure. Absolutely.
But 6 months to a year. Now, with that having been said, I do some coaching. Sometimes just because of a lesson you learn will create you to open a new relationship within a week or even a day. That's only a coincidence. We're not that good.
Yeah.
It typically takes 6 to 12 months, although most engagements begin with at least a speech or a meeting with the executives and the salespeople.
And with your process of essentially, they take what you have developed for them, they build around that, and after a year's time or so, they should be able to carry that on.
That's correct. And then it's about maintenance.
Okay.
So what we'll do is we'll be intense, maybe once a month, whatever, for a year, and then we'll do maintenance. We'll come in once a quarter, once every half year, once a year, whatever.
Okay. And if someone wants to get in touch with you, he's giving you the telephone number. I'd like you to give it again.
Sure, I'd love to. 832-344-6998. 832-344-6998. And I promise next time I'll wear a suit.
But Jack, I don't have to tell you how much we enjoy our conversations with you. You already got me over my cold. I'm feeling much better. I may go out tonight.
We're going to do the same thing. We'll see you out there.
Boy.
All right, guys. Irvin and I would like to thank you for tuning into this show. What we do here, we do especially for you. I'm John Cruz.
I'm Irv Hughes.
And this is the place where we discuss the topics that inspires entrepreneurs from thought to action. So until next week, be smart, be successful, and above all else,
be in action.
And go
Texans.
We'll see you next week.